and this is great following on the heels of talking about Ronnie Garvin last week.
Yeah.
The foe is Wahoo McDaniel,
Ah,
who you had some great matches with early in your career in Mid-Atlantic. How about that picture with you, Wahoo, and Bob Cottle? And there's
yeah,
Wahoo, a very typical Wahoo pose with a belt and some
yeah,
blood. Who chopped
yeah.
harder, Wahoo or Ronnie Garvin?
Ah, Wahoo. 260 pounds. I mean, he would beat the living crap out of me. You know, I got a pacemaker now, and I'm not sure that I should have ever had any. The reason I have no blockage, because I've had to have that where I've been catheterized, right, to have that to look at the arteries and everything in my heart, is because Garvin and Wahoo hit me so hard for so many years, I could never accumulate any
blockage. He knocked it right out.
They certainly did. I told you with Garvin, same thing with Wahoo. I put a tube of Neosporin on my chest every morning and a tube every night. That's all. Because back then the rings weren't like they're now. They weren't. I've seen guys get staph. I just fallen on their knee in a dirty ring. So I was very lucky. But make no mistake, I think Ronnie Garvin's a great guy, but Wahoo was a double tough son of a bitch, boy. I mean, bad to the bone.
Well, Wahoo had that pro football player credibility.
No, by the way, nobody tried Wahoo either. I'm not putting him in a Harley race category, but I don't remember anybody ever trying him. Well,
Wahoo was a real good player in the American Football League.
Let me tell you a great story about Wahoo. So when Valentine and I were partners, we used to all make TV at Crockett Promotions on a Tuesday morning. We do all the taping for the various markets and the independents or the different TV stations. So we're there for about 3 hours, and one day Greg was talking about, well, he said, I'm going to take that dumb fat Indian and, And Wahoo was sitting in the bleachers and walked over and punched out Danny around the mouth. It'll never be fat Indian, by the way, kid. Same thing with Blackjack and Ole Anderson. Ole said something smart about Barry, and Ole is still hiding in the bathroom in Norfolk.
Now, as I said, Wahoo played.
Jack Mulligan, double tough too. Trust me. Hey, the greatest story about Mulligan is he was smoking us. We were in Marietta, and Lex Luger and Mulligan was was an agent for the company at that time, and Luger walked up to him and said, "Why would Lex Luger wrestle a Dutch Mantel?" Talking about himself in the third person. Mulligan, who I thought was just going to slap the shit out of him, put his cigarette on the ground in the locker room, stepped on it, and walked out the door, never came back. That third person shit didn't get over the old timers. Why would they? I don't know, because you were told to. And I'm not going to lose my patience and kill you. I'll just quit.
Now, Wahoo played for the New York Titans in the AFL, who later became the Jets. And I don't know if you knew this, Rick, but he had a unique played for the Broncos too, apparently. He had a unique thing about his uniform. When he played for New York, he had Wahoo on the back of his jersey. I think he's the only guy.
And every time he made a tackle, the crowd would say, "Guess who? Wahoo." And that's why, to give you some history, because I'm so much older than you, when they drafted Joe Namath, they traded Wahoo because they only wanted 1 star.
And I'm a professional sports writer. I did not even know that. So well done.
Yeah, absolutely. They traded Wahoo. You can look up the dates. They traded him a day after they drafted Namath. And this is what Wahoo is having lunch with Mickey Mantle downtown drinking all day. I mean, Wahoo was a big celebrity wherever he went. He was a bigger than life person. A scratch golfer, and fish, hunt, chase women, whatever he did, he was intense.
You know what I once said on the WCW?
Hey, Wahoo was married 6 times. He's 2 ahead of me, man.
No, he's 1 ahead of you. Let's count
2. Oh yeah, but I mean, he ended up 6-0 or 0-6. I'm still tied in there.
You're 1-4. You lead Wahoo and very few others. Now, a quick story on the late and oft lamented WCW hotline. Kids, get your parents' permission before calling. I once said, in a desperation maneuver, Mickey Mantle's doctors are going to have him and Gene Okerlund switch livers.
Yeah, of course. Hey, I was with Mean Gene drinking, and he was yellow. And all of a sudden, he got the phone call. And there was a car wreck in Cincinnati, and they flew the kidney to Dr. Nigerian at the University of Minnesota. Gene got on a plane, got the kidney replacement, back at TV in, I would say, 5 weeks. And we were at the bar that night.
Eric Bischoff called me when I said that about Gene and Mickey Mantle. He said, I don't know whether to fire you or give you a raise.
Mickey Mantle, it's funny because I heard the story. The reason Mickey drank so much is because I think all his brothers and father, all his brother,
his father died young. That's correct. His father died young of cancer,
and a brother too,
and an uncle as well.
Oh, an uncle.
So
okay.
he assumed he was going to go young. That's correct.
Yeah. Listen, I walked into Wahoo's house in Charlotte, and he had a big picture, like almost like a mural sized picture, maybe 8 by 10, of him, Lee Trevino, Charlie Pride, and Mickey Mantle, all with a driver in their hand, touching the drivers on a golf course.
Now,
pretty heavy company.
By the way, quick quote: Len Dawson, the great Hall of Fame quarterback, once said the hardest hit he ever took was from Wahoo McDaniel. So it wasn't just in wrestling, Nate; it was on the football field as well. And as far as Wahoo as a wrestler goes, for the time, he had a classic look, didn't he?
Yes.
As a Native American, and totally believable. As much credibility as I remember as anybody had back then.
Absolutely. I mean, oh God, he was a world-class athlete. I don't know, to this day, up until at least 5 years ago, he still had the longest punt in the history of the Orange Bowl when he played at Oklahoma. He played for Bud when they were like, I think, didn't they have 31 straight wins or something like that with Bud Wilkinson? Just a world-class athlete, but tough. And he what happened with Wahoo is he said he just wouldn't work out anymore. I said, Chief, you need to go to the gym. Boy, I've been going to the gym for 35 years. I'm not going to the gym. I'm going to the golf course. Okay, Chief.
Well, he was never world champion. And I understand, especially in that era, there were very few who got to be world champion. There was, a panel for the NWA, all the promoters. But what do you think kept Wahoo from getting the world title?
Because he stood up for himself. And not that Jack Briscoe and Terry and Dory didn't, but he was Wahoo was a rebel. Does it make sense? It certainly wasn't because of his work ethic or his skill. It's just you had to be in that fold back then. I mean, it was the Funks and the Geigels and the Von Erichs and Barnett and Carlos Colon and